In this video, we are going to walk through the steps of creating a screen popper pop and using custom CSS to style elements on the pop. For reference, we are going to be recreating this image here as a pop. Let's go ahead and get started. Let's create a blank pop here with a blank canvas. The first thing we'll want to do is get rid of the background. Go ahead and do that. And we will want to go ahead and insert our own image that we will be using as a background. I'll click on the image button down below, and let's begin uploading our image. There we are. I'll go ahead and pick the image and click Add Image. We see it here at the center of our screen. We'll now need to resize our canvas so that it fits our image background. Let's click Resize, grab the corner. There we are. Can move the image into the canvas. You'll see it'll change from transparent to a solid color. We'll move our close button to the top right corner. I'm going to go ahead and resize this just a bit, make it fit a little bit better. There we are. So we can go ahead and start adding our text. Down below, I'll click on text. Our first piece of text will say join acmerockets.com. Going to go ahead and set the font size. I want this to be white and center aligned. Let's go ahead and add text there. Let's move it to the relative position it needs to be in here. I'm going to stretch the box so it's now on one line as opposed to two. There we are. Let's go ahead and do the rest here. Enter your email below to get. That way as well. Position that here. And we'll keep going. Another text box. This one will say 10% off. I'm going to make this one the biggest font size we have available. Make it white. There we are. Let's move it to the middle. Just two more here on your next order. This will be about 30 pixels here. And again, we'll resize the text box so it's on one line. And lastly, a little disclaimer here, conditions apply. This will be small. Great. So now we have the text on the pop. We now need to insert our input field and our our input button. So down below, let's click on data. We'll want to check the email address select box. Let's get rid of the label. We'll make this extra large width, and the placeholder instructions here will say enter your email here. Let's go ahead and add this data widget and move these into place. Great. Now again, for reference, let's take a look at our image here. Doesn't look quite like it just yet, but we have the positions relatively like the image here. Let's go ahead and give this submit button some different text here. Double click on it. Say join now. Let's update that widget. Seems a little too small there. Let's go ahead and double click again. Let's make this a large button. Great. So that's pretty much a basic pop, unstyled. What we'll want to go ahead and do now is start noting each of the IDs for each of these elements. With these IDs, we'll be able to target them using CSS and apply our own styling. If we double click onto any of these elements, it opens up the editor. We can see near the top here we get a container ID. This string here, this is going to be the ID of the div element that holds this text. So what I like to do is grab the text here. I'm going to go ahead and switch to my code editor. Let's list each of these elements. So each of them are a div. So I'm going to go ahead and start with a div. It's an ID. It's going to be our first one there. Let's give it a comment. This is our join acmerockets.com text, just as a reminder. Let's move on to the next one. We're going to open up each of these elements and grab the ID. Switch back to our code editor. Give this a comment. This is enter your email below. Grab this ID as well. %, off. All right, just a few more here. Okay, for our input elements, we'll want to double click, open these. You'll notice there's no ID near the top. You'll find these under the Advanced tab. See container ID here. This is the ID we want. Let's go ahead and list that. It's also a div. So this is our input box. Same for the button. Also has the container ID in the same area, the Advanced tab. And the last one here. This was the button, just so we don't forget here. And the conditions apply text. Perfect. All right, now I listed these here, and now I may start applying CSS to all of these elements. In this case, since they're listed in this fashion, I can set the font size, let's say 20 pixels, font family to Verdana. I can also individually select elements, right? I can pull this out, let's say the input. I'm going to grab this ID, I'm going to create a new rule here, and I'm going to target the input element. There's my new block. Maybe I want the width to be 500 pixels or so. For this particular example, I've already prepared some CSS. I'm going to go ahead and just copy this. Again, the CSS is unique to my pop since every pop will have unique IDs for their elements. So you'll want to make sure you have the IDs for your pop. But once this is in place, this is going to be pasted into the web page that is hosting my launch code. Down below, you can see I have my launch code. Go ahead and save this out, and let's visit that page. Let's see what that looks like. Perfect. There it is.